Hello, this is Erin Reitmeyer from Erin's Creative Explosion, and I'm here today to show you how I do the backgrounds of my mixed media canvases. I'm by no means an expert, I'm actually very new at this, but I've had some interest in a step-by-step video, so I'm going to just do a sort of a cool colored background. You can kind of see by the splatter of what we're going for here. I'm going to start off with Dylusions Funky Fusion ink spray, and then I'm going to create a sort of gradient from there. So here's the Funky Fusion. I'm going to try and get it pretty wet. My purple doesn't spray right, so it's going to make a bit of a mess on the rest of the canvas. It's also running out because I like purple. There it goes. And then next we're going to go to London Blue. Kind of spraying in a downward motion, which it doesn't like. And Calypso Teal. Let's try and go sideways with that one. To blend into cut grass. Ooh, that purple's really running, isn't it? And then we've got fresh lime. Okay, we've got a lot on there and it's going to take a while to dry, so I'm going to stop this and we'll come back to it. You see this mess here in the middle? That's an utter freaking mess. And we're going to have to do something about it or it's going to be really bad. So I'm going to go after it with little pieces of paper towel. And this is going to make marks on the canvas, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to be doing a second layer and maybe even a third layer of color. But we do not want this big old pool of color in there. That is going to totally stain the canvas and it's going to come out horribly. So I'm going to sop some of it up. And hopefully salvage what I've done already. Because I don't have another one of these. And get some of this green. You can see as it dries it's starting to blend, so we have a little bit longer for it to dry, but that should help it. Okay, so it's been a good long while and our project has started to dry now. You can see we're getting some really interesting shapes and blending here. The purple tried to go over into here, but that didn't work out, so it ended up going back, which is good because we don't want too much mixing. We're definitely going to need to add a second coat, maybe a third. The problem with this canvas is it has it's pre-treated, which most canvases that you buy at like Joann's are. But the problem with this one is it has 3 coats of gesso, and I have a feeling that might be too much for the Dylusions. Diane Reevely, who created these, said that you don't need to use gesso at all to get them to blend, and I have to agree with her. They do not seem to like that much gesso. Let's try and get my sprayer to spray. You can see the purple is just spraying so wrong. So that's a lot of purple. I hope that doesn't blend too much into the other colors. I mean, I like purple, but we're trying for a different thing here. And I'm moving down to the teal. I'm using the colors in the same amount that they were before, or the same setup that they were before. This is the cut grass again. And we're just trying to add layers because the more layers you add, the more texture you get. And there's the fresh lime. So you can see that it's getting a lot darker, and hopefully some of that more color will dry on there. The paper towel that we put on there, you can't even see the marks anymore. And hopefully the purple won't need to have that come up too. But we'll see. I might have to take a paper towel to it. Alright, let's let that dry. Okay, it's about an hour later. It doesn't take that long to dry, but I was eating. So we've got some interesting things going on here. For one, we've got this blend, which I don't know where the heck that came from. This is what happens when you get fur from one of your animals on your thing. So we're going to need to cover that up because I don't like it. I'm going to try and get some more green in here. So I'm just going to focus on spraying the green because we have a lot of teal. A lot more teal than we need. And then I'm also going to add more pink. And maybe a little bit more of the actual regular blue. And try and contain some of that teal. And then top it off with the fresh lime. And we'll see if that dries more to my liking. Alright, I went out for a walk and I came back to it being dry, so that's good. I think we're done with the color layers and we're going to start to add water. Now I like to add several layers of water because it all gives you a different effect and a different texture. I have a rather large mister. It's about the size of the color bottles, but it's just plain water. And I'm going to mist over it and try and get a fine mist as well as these little drops, which my finger being in the way of the mist will do that, which is fun. And you want to try and keep the big drops apart from each other so that they don't blend into each other, because we already did all of our blending. And you don't want to wet it down too much because again it's going to blend. That's its job. Diane Reevely, when she does hers, she tends to lay down water first. I think that, you know, that helps blending on a in an art journal, but for this it's kind of detrimental because you need to establish these layers that we have going on here. Now I'm going to take a pipette with water in it and I'm going to pretend that it's raining, and I'm just going to drop the bigger droplets in a more intentional manner. You want to try and fix any mistakes, any things that you don't like in this stage. This is where you can cover up lines or incorrect color. If you still had marks like we did when I used the, oops, see, that's too much there. If we still had marks like I did when I used a paper towel, this will cover that up. So just be pretty random with it. And then I'm going to take a little bit more water and I'm just going to tap it to get lighter, smaller drops. Now this is a decent amount of water and these puddles are pretty big, so this is going to take a while to dry. So, you know, just do this and go off and watch a TV show, or like I just did, go for a walk. I'm exhausted now, so panting for the video, but whatever. And we'll come back and look, see how this goes. Maybe add another layer of drops. You can do that, which is fun. Okay. Next one. Alright, check it out. We got some pretty good splat marks, I guess. So that looks good. I'm going to hit it with some more water, and this is pretty much what I'm going to be doing for a while, is just turning around every once in a while, giving it some water, trying to get little splats on top of big splats on top of little splats. The more layers that you add, the more interest you're going to have, and the less you're going to have to put on top of it to, you know, make it more interesting, more white space to cover up, that kind of thing. Because what you want to do is have people want to look at your piece for a long while, and the more layers that you have, they're going to spend more time on it to see all the time that you put into this. So I'm only going to show you this part one more time. It's really not that hard. Just, you know, every once in a while when you notice it stops being shiny, just turn around, hit it with your mister, and then, you know, go back to what you were doing, and you keep doing that a couple times. and we'll come back and check how it comes out. I really like what I'm seeing here right now. There doesn't seem to be anything to cover up. So, that's pretty good. Alright, it's been a little bit longer, and I've worked on it a ton. You can see here that the spots are coming out really, really well, but in here it is just really resisting the water, which I don't appreciate. So I'm going to use the Dylusions white ink spray, and instead of spraying it, I'm going to take out the little straw that it has, and I'm going to tap over to get those little drops. The thing about this white spray is it doesn't really go completely opaque. It tends to pick up the color that's beneath it, but just a little bit. So it's almost going to mimic what the water was doing over here. And it's going to give us more texture. See, this is starting to come together now. But I mean, this is what you do when things don't work out exactly like you wanted. You just got to keep working at it, come up with a different plan, or come at it from a different angle. Like, instead of using water, we're now using white paint. See, it's blending in now. You can see it as it dries. It dries pretty quickly because it's just these little droplets. Might even put some down in here. So we got the big texture of the huge droplets that we did right in the beginning, and then the little ones, and then the even smaller on top of that, and just the more layers that you can get in there, the better, because that will keep the interest in your piece. I mean, this is just the background. I'm going to put something on top of it. I don't know what. I don't have a plan for this one yet. But everywhere you look, there's something to look at. There's something to, you know, say, oh, look at that. Look at this shape, or look at that shape. So I would spray it to get a bigger droplet, but the problem is this thing, or this ink, it does not really spray correctly. It does more of a fine mist, and I don't want to lessen that color, the intensity of that color at all. So I think I'm going to call that done. Well, and I thank you for watching this video, and I hope that it was helpful. I'm going to provide you with a couple of photos on my website, and I'm going to try and do a step-by-step of either this canvas or another one like it, so that you can see what I would do with something like this. Alright, thank you for watching. Please visit www.erinkelly.com.